This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, saving your day from boredom with the best podcasting entertainment.
What's up, real MVPs? Ricky Widmer here, along with fellow man-child Johnny Karlic. And we're back. This is like 2 weeks in a... it has been 2 weeks since, technically 3 if you count the week in between. 3 weeks since you and I have sat at a podcasting table.
Yep.
It's been a while. I don't remember why you missed the first time.
I didn't feel
I think
good.
you had a convention or something.
No. It was
that's
tooth
right.
problem.
You weren't feeling good 2 weeks ago. I was like, you know what? I'm going to come in. I'm going to do a solo cast. It was fun to do that.
Oh, did you?
And then last week, I had, or as we've said on Too Old the Game, I had the dysentery from Oregon Trail, and I was out for basically a week. The dysentery is now gone. Death, I have kicked out of my house. He came in, slept on my couch, tried to take me, but I wouldn't let him take me, and now I am back in the podcasting booth. Johnny and I are back for another edition of the Rick and Johnny podcast, where we look at what, Johnny? We look at everything nerdy under the or everything under the two nerdy sons. I was trying to set you up
put me on
for
the
it.
spot.
Johnny's giving me those eyes like, whoa, I wasn't ready for this. But
I
we're looking at
I don't do that. This is your thing.
We're looking at everything nerdy, trying something new today with a first topic, but I'll get into that in a second after we go through our housekeeping. Number one, if you want to help support the channel more so than you guys already do by watching and listening to our podcast, make sure to check out patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast. If you join the $10 tier, you can join a podcast each and every month and talk about what you want to talk about. Also, you can go check out our store, link down below in the description, or you can find it on our website where you can get an awesome MVP t-shirt. That store also at mostvaluablepodcast.com, where you can catch MVP each and every day. And then last but not least, if you're on Apple Podcast, on iTunes, you have either or, make sure to give the Rick and Johnny podcast a 5-star rating and let us know why you like listening to the podcast each and every week. But Johnny, we got a jam-packed show today. We're talking about Game of Thrones today. We're talking about Avengers 4 today after Ant-Man, a little Quantum Realm. And then we're also talking about a topic that we usually don't dive into, but because it's about an actor that both you and I have talked about, he's been in the DC movies, he's playing Superman right now, we're going to take a look, and this is the first topic we'll dive into, is we're going to take a look at comments made by Henry Cavill this week, really about, like, they're saying it's about the Me Too movement, but I don't think it's necessarily about Me Too. It just has to deal with Me Too. Here's the exact comments. We'll just get them out there. This was in an interview with GQ Australia, and here's the quotes from CNN. They say, while the actor said stuff has changed absolutely in terms of men's behavior, he also added, it's important to also retain the good things which were a quality of the past and get rid of the bad things. There's something wonderful about a man chasing a woman. There's a traditional approach to that, which is nice. I think a woman should be wooed and chased, but maybe I'm old-fashioned for thinking that. He also goes on to say, it's very difficult to do that if there are certain rules in place, because then it's like, well, I don't want to go up and talk to her because I'm going to be called a rapist or something. So you're like, forget it, I'm going to call an ex-girlfriend instead, and then just go back to a relationship which never really worked. But it's way safer than casting myself into the fires of hell because I'm someone in the public eye, and if I go and flirt with someone, then who knows what's going to happen, end quote. And before I ask you, Johnny, what your first thoughts are to kind of kick this off, I want to say one thing, and I want to kind of set this up as the precedence. When we have a conversation like this, I like to treat it as a conversation. Mm-hmm. You and I are not giving, like, of course we're giving our opinions on it, but
it's not the end-all, be-all.
Yeah, ours isn't the end-all, be-all. You guys are included in the conversation as well. So what we're saying, throw in the comments, like, you guys go down to the comments, comment while we're talking about this, keep that conversation going. Just want that to be out there so people don't think we're the end-all, be-all of everything and what we say is right and everyone else is wrong. But I will ask you this. What are your initial thoughts when you hear these comments from Henry Cavill in this GQ interview?
Well, I think he kind of went around part of it the wrong way, but I get it. Like, as opposed to like nowadays, it's supposed to be a girl says no, you're supposed to stop trying. But if you're in a relationship, you're supposed to keep trying. So what side do I go on? So you just end up going to someone that didn't work because it's safer than someone. I'll put it out there. You and I have both agreed on this before this podcast and many times before. We'll be at anywhere and you or I will be looking in the general area a girl is in. We're not even looking at her. We're looking at something past her or something that's like off to the left of her. And then we get this dirty ass look as if we're staring her down. It's like not even looking at you. So, I mean, there has to be remembered there's the president out there as well as, there's shitty people that need to stop doing shitty things, stop sexually harassing people. But you need to remember, not everyone's staring at you.
And for me, my first thought with this is kind of to go off of the first thing is he was very like, I heard the comments when I was watching, because I heard them from Philip DeFranco, the news show that I watch every day. And he reads the comments, and my first thought is, oh, I understand what he is trying to say.
Yeah.
And for me, my first thought of this is that on both sides, it's kind of like when we talk politics, they use the line of both sides of the aisle. On both sides of the sexes, when you talk about men, when you talk about women, there are, and I'm not even calling them people, they are monsters. There are monsters on each side, like a Henry Weinstein, basically.
Yeah, Harvey Weinstein.
Not even like I don't even know his first name half the time because he is not a person. He is a monster. There are people like that on both sides. There are just general people in this world that are very evil and are monsters. Case in point. But the point that I think that he in Henry Cavill was trying to make, and he's got a very different sense of it than you or I. Because if like average Joe Schmo goes out and talks to a girl, or let's say flirts with a girl, and the girl says no, and he goes, oh, okay, and leaves, like I said, there are on both sides, not all women are like this, but there could be some that are like, hey, you know what? He's Henry Cavill. I'm going to try to milk this for everything it's worth.
Exactly.
Like, because he's a public figure, he's got to have a actor, which would be a public figure.
Yeah, it's still a public figure.
He's going to have that fear in the back of his head.
Exactly.
Because he doesn't want anything to ruin his career as an actor and throw it all away.
Yeah, I mean, because there's some people out there that will just go to milk it because, oh, hey, a celebrity hit on me. I'm gonna go along with this and get what I can out of it. And I'm not saying a lot of people are like that. I'm saying everyone's like that. I'm just saying there are people out there that will try that. So I mean, yeah, he has more to fear than like Joe Schmo.
Well, and it's also I'm not saying this is right. I'm not saying this is wrong. I'm just throwing it out there. It's every time you hear a story from like the Me Too side, not that side, but like the Me Too in general and anything like this, there's always that thought of, all right, I've heard the story, who's right and who's wrong? And most times it's like, I don't know who's right and who's wrong. So I don't know, like, maybe this is me personally, I don't know what side to be on, because it's like there's that doubt as well in it. And with Henry Cavill, going back to kind of his comments, is it like the simple part is no means no. If you go up, hey, can I buy you a drink? And she says no, fine. No, have a good one. But like, I think the problem he had with his comments was how he stated, because there was another excerpt that was kind of taken out of that where he's like, oh, well, then there's the other side of it, it's like, oh, you just stopped at that? What, are you a pussy? Where it's like, that to me, I look at it and go, if one of your friends is going to say that, brush them off.
Yeah.
Because, like, what, are you supposed to go, oh, they said no, I'm going to keep trying? Because then you kind of go into that that dark area of like, all right, when have I crossed the line?
Exactly.
And you don't want to cross that line.
Yeah, that's a hard one to go on because I mean there was always the thought like I don't know about your parents, but I think in our parents' era there was some sort of a persistence you had to have sometimes. And you hear stories. I don't know if you have. I feel like I've heard stories where I tried a few times and then finally she said yes and look where it ended up.
I've heard numerous of them. My parents weren't like that.
No, neither were mine.
I'm trying to think back to my grandfather, where I know my grandfather told me with him, and this is going back even further generations. This is like World War II generation. I think with him, the big thing he said was it wasn't your grandmother said no. It was, hey, can I dance with you? Oh, that's fine, but you got to convince my brother. So really with him, it was convincing my uncle or my grandmother's brother that, hey, is it okay if I ask your sister to dance? Because there was that protective side of it. But like my parents never had the like, oh, I asked once and then I asked again. And then eventually she went on a date with me and then the rest is history.
Yeah,
kind of a thing.
I mean, my parents were like that either that I heard about. And I don't know my grandparents' stories, honestly. So I couldn't say. But I've heard other stories where it was like that. And it's like sometimes that's what works out. And I'm not saying like pester them until they finally cave. But I mean, sometimes then... that sounds bad. It still sounds bad. But I'll put it this way. I asked a girl in high school. I got it. It's not a no, but it's not yes right now. How the hell do you react to that?
Time also changes.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, time changes things as well.
That too, yeah.
And the thing that I like speaks to me from Henry Cavill's comments is the part where he goes, I'm going to find the exact part here. He goes, it's right after he goes, because then it's like, well, I don't want to go and talk to her because I'm going to call a rape or something. It's right after that where he says, so you're like, forget it, which really in my mind, fuck it. I'm going to talk to an ex-girlfriend. And to me, that speaks to me because how many times have you known someone or seen something where it's like, yeah, you know what? I was feeling X, Y, and Z. I went back and talked to my ex because it's just that connection's already there.
It's safe.
It's safe. You already know them. You know how they're going to react to things. And really, like, and then he goes in, like, the thing that was, he's like, then you go back to a relationship which never really worked in the first place. So it's like, for me, that kind of spoke out to me. And I know there's people on the other side. I'm going to take, there was a kind of series of tweets from a Helen Price. And because there's backlash to this as well. And this was one of the main ones that I have seen. Here's a series of tweets that she had. I'm going to read them, and then I'll have you kind of be the first talking point so we can go back and forth on the criticism as well and have that conversation. She says, this is absurd. If Henry Cavill doesn't want to be called a rapist, then all he has to do is ... not rape anyone. The mental gymnastics some men are doing to position themselves as victims, using air quotes, of hashtag Me Too is insane. Stop trying to derail the conversation by claiming Me Too wants to stop men from talking to women or some bullshit. If you don't know the difference between politely asking someone out and sexually harassing them, you have a serious problem. And then the very last one, I thought there was one more. Oh, did I misread them? Yeah, I misread them. The second one is if you're approaching a woman in a way that makes them feel uncomfortable or unsafe, then you need to change your behavior instead of whining about how some men are now facing consequences for serial harassment and assault. My first thought with these was I was like, I agree with what you're saying. Like, there's if you don't know the difference between politely asking someone out and being a rapist, you do have a problem. But like, I read these and I went, I didn't get that vibe from Henry Cavill's comments.
No,
I didn't get that vibe that he was criticizing anything. He was just kind of saying how things are changing and what it's like now in the dating sphere, I'll say, as now from the male side of it.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't get like a bashing comment. It's just like hey, things are changing, and I'm kind of old school, so this is what I think about that. And he's entitled to his opinion. Whoever wants to criticize it.
Let's be completely honest too. How many, like, and this is a question I'll ask the comments as well, and listeners and viewers, of how many people actually go out to bars anymore?
Yeah.
Like, for me and you, I know for me, I don't go to bars. And if I'm out at, like, the only, like, bar area we go to is, like, every time we do the fast break, we go to B-dubs. If I see a cute girl, I'm not approaching her. Like, to me, that is just, it's never been in my DNA. And I've never done that. Like, for me, it's always been dating apps and using this technology to try to find someone. Every date I've been on has been, I met someone on a dating app, we text, and then when we thought it was right to meet, we exchanged numbers and then met up.
Yeah, you know what? Mine has all been, I haven't really gone any because I haven't found anyone
I'm just
on
saying,
that
like,
dating app. But
I'm just saying, like,
I mean,
lifetime.
You and I both know I'm more like Raj Kuthrapali when it comes to trying to approach a woman. I can't talk to them and I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But the part of the thought is, like, am I just going to, like, I'm going to try talking to her, get the dirty ass look, and, like, right away be thought of as sexually harassing. It's like, no, I'm just trying to talk to you to see if there's any interest. If it's no, it's no. But don't, like, just come off the bat to a guy then as if he's trying to sexually harass you. That's the problem, too.
I feel like in this generation, and when I say this, I'm not saying it as like, because of this is how we're at. I'm just saying this is how I kind of feel like we're at on both sides, men and women, that I feel like the whole dating in general has become that one meme from The Office where they're pointing the finger guns at each other and it's like a little standoff. That's where I kind of feel like we're at, where the girls are standoffish because of everything that's happened with all these horrible stories that you've heard. Not to say that men can't be victims, because we've heard Terry Crews come out and speak about that. And that's one thing. I know we haven't talked about this, but now because we're mentioning it, I get to say the thing that pisses me off the most about the Terry Crews stuff is the people that are like, oh, well, why didn't you do anything? You're a big, tough man. You could have beat him up. It's like, what if A, that wasn't the first thought that came to his head, and B, what if the person is not a violent person? Doesn't matter how jacked you are. It's a situation I've never been in, so I don't even know how I would react.
No, exactly. You
in
don't
that
know.
situation.
Not to mention, he's, again, just like Henry Cavill, guy's career to protect.
Exactly. What if it's also a person of power that is usually that's what it is, a person of power that's above
Which in this
you.
case it actually was.
Yeah.
It was an agent or someone from a studio just grabbed him.
Right in front of his wife, too,
Exactly. I believe so. And that's, again, I mean, anyone can be a victim.
And, like, that's where I feel like on that side, that's what it is. But also for the men's side of, like, approaching, it's kind of like a fear of, like, you know what? Like, it's exactly what, I'm not going to say exactly, but it's kind of like, I'll clarify what I believe Henry Cavill meant by his comments was basically down to the nitty gritty of, all right, I can go and talk to her, or I can go with, like you said, the safe route. I can text this person I already know and not have to worry. But that's the main thing. It's the worry. And I know there's people out there that are like, yeah, but if you're not going to do this, then you have nothing to worry about. But there's always that worry, especially when you're an actor like Henry Cavill. And I'm assuming, because I wouldn't want to be in that situation, he wouldn't want to be in a situation where the other party lies, and then it's like, great, I'm in a shit situation, and he's probably sitting there thinking, who are they going to believe, me or her? So it's, you know what, I'll go with the safer route, I'll text an ex-girlfriend, and then you're cycling down that hole because it's like, wow, this never worked out, and now I'm seeing why this never worked out, but I'm back to where I started. Yeah, exactly.
It's a tough situation because, again, yeah, there's monsters out there, or there's just shitty people out there.
Absolute monsters, I would say.
Monsters are like well, there's a difference. Shitty people are the ones who kind of start that sexual harassment and then don't go as far as like Harvey Weinstein. Just like, no means no, dude. Just cut it out. But not everyone's like that, and that's what the mindset is kind of drifting away from. Is basically you got people that are like, us, we're afraid to because we don't want to get labeled as that. We don't want to
distrust in general.
Yeah, exactly. It's an all around distrust from both sides, and both it would have to be an improvement from both sides. Well, and guys need to learn to take no and just go somewhere else then. But girls need to not just jump off the bat and just think the guy's there for that right away.
The other thing I've seen, and this is the last thing I'll say, the other thing I've seen that I feel needs to change, because I'm the type of person where I just be upfront with me. Where if it's one of those things where if I go up to a girl, it's like, if I go to talk to a girl even on a dating app, it's the thing of, if you're not attracted to me, if there's this you're not interested, if it's just a flat no, just tell me. I'd rather you be upfront with me than being like, oh, well, I don't want to hurt his feelings, because I'm not a whole, like, hurt your feelings kind of guy. I'd rather you say, hey, you know what? I'm not really that attracted to you. All right, thank you. It was nice talking to you. Kind of a thing.
I agree with, especially in the dating app. We don't really have a connection in the first place. Just tell me.
Most guys need to realize, and I'm saying most guys, not all guys are like this, but most guys need to realize when a girl says, no, you're just not my type, and then they flip the switch, oh, well, you're just an effing bitch, and this and that. It's like, no, dude, she's just not into you.
Exactly.
Like, that's it. It's okay. She's not into you. Someone else will be. You don't have to be a douche nozzle, basically. Do you have any final thoughts on this before I wrap it up and go into Avengers and the Quantum Realm?
No, I just want to state, you know what? I'm not against the Me Too movement, but a lot of things on both sides need to change if this whole attitude is going to change.
Well, and like I said at the beginning, this is not a topic of like, I'm right, Johnny's wrong, Johnny's right, I'm wrong, we're right, we're wrong. We're right, you're wrong. This is a conversation. So if you've commented already, thank you for commenting. If you haven't, join the conversation down below in the comment section. Tell us what you think. This is a very, I'm going to say, gray topic where there's no black and white to it. There's
a little bit of black and white. Don't rape people.
Exactly.
Don't sexually harass people.
Exactly. Don't be a monster. Be a good person to people. But there's also that space where we can have a conversation about it. So go join the conversation down below in that comment section.